Welcome to the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast, where we remember a time when stacks of cards were held together with rubber bands and Mickey mantles were put in bike spokes. We hope you will enjoy and reminisce as you come along with us as we tell stories about the baseball cards from the Golden Age of Baseball. We will examine the state of the vintage baseball card market and talk to some of the greatest collectors in the hobby. You won't be hearing us talk about any chrome or shiny cards here. Now, to take you on this retrospective journey, here's your host, direct from the shallow end of the gene pool, my son, Mike Moynihan.
Yo, and hello, everybody. Mike here. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Age of Cardboard podcast. I am really excited about this episode. This is one that I've been kind of thinking about and stewing on for a while. As long as I can remember, I have been a fan of the All-Star game. And I know it's been watered down in recent years, and there's not many people that like it. They think it's lame or whatever. But as a kid, I was so just enthralled with the All-Star game. It was an event. And this was pre, home run derby and all the other stuff that went along with the All-Star game. I particularly loved the introductions and seeing all the players lined up on the baselines. And always, there were never really any Rangers starters, but I would always wait to see Buddy Bell or Jim Sundberg or Toby Harrah or whoever the Ranger representative was, because that's the great thing about All-Stars is no matter how bad your team is, everybody had an All-Star. And so the Rangers were pretty terrible when I was a kid. But at least for that brief moment as they tipped their cap on the sideline, and then, moments like where Michael Young won the All-Star MVP, and just, I've been able to witness so many different things in an All-Star game. I think it's just this special time where you get all the best players together. And yes, it's kind of an exhibition, but I think the players want to do well and perform on that kind of stage. And so it's always just been one of those things that I truly love about baseball, the Midsummer Classic. And then you combine that with the awesomeness of cards and All-Star cards. And so what I'm going to do, I have a guest on tonight, one of my good friends in the hobby. You know him well if you're on YouTube. It is Orlando from A Collector's Dream. Hey, Orlando, welcome to the show again.
Hi, Mike. It's great to be on. Thanks so much for inviting me.
You are so welcome. This was a no-brainer when I texted you about it. I don't even think the text went through before you responded. Yes, I'd love to do it. So
of course.
I appreciate your willingness to do that. And I think, Orlando, what I want to do tonight is give a brief history of the All-Star card. We'll talk through the designs. We'll talk about what we like, what we don't like, and then we'll talk some pricing, because I think that's a dynamic of All-Star cards that I think is very appealing to any vintage collector, but particularly people getting into vintage and kind of like, where do I start? Some of the price points are crazy. What can I do to be more strategic with my card budget, right? So let's talk the history first. All-Star cards were first created by Topps in 1958. They ran 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. Then for whatever reason, and maybe we can get into that, they stopped doing All-Star cards 63 through 67. They pick them back up again in 68, 69, and 70 for 3 years, and then stop again. And then we don't have any All-Star designations until 1975. And from 75 through 80, which is kind of the vintage era that we talk about on this show, there were designated All-Stars on their base card, which
right.
We can talk through that because I think there's some cool designs there. But what I want to talk about first is, what's your impression of All-Star cards, Orlando? Just your general sense of how you feel about them in the hobby.
Oh, I love All-Star cards. And, you're like you said, with the pricing, especially when you're able to get an All-Star player for a third of the price. You get a Hank Aaron, for example, for a third of the price in many cases, because it's an All-Star card. And the All-Star game, as you said, it's really one of the highlights of the season for everybody. Even the non-fans, watch the All-Star game because that's just such a big event. I mean, it's not a Super Bowl, but it's for baseball fans, it's similar to it. And like you said, with your Rangers, my Marlins, just to see a Marlins player, they never do much, the Marlins, unfortunately, but always get to see a Marlins player at the All-Star game. So for me, the All-Star cards really is kind of, it's just seeing the best players, of that year. They put them all in one group, in cards. So, it's just great. I remember as a kid, I used to put all the American League and National League together and just, kind of do like a draft and stuff. It was just fun to play with. And those are the things that, it just brings back memories of the old All-Star games by looking at the cards themselves. And there's just a lot of, one of the other thing, Mike, and I don't know if you realize, I know you do, but many of people don't realize that many of those All-Star cards are the higher number in the series. Some are actually even the high number, the last series, like 1961, it's the final series. And even though some of those cards are the higher series that tend to be more expensive, they're still a lot cheaper than just the base card of that player.
Yeah, I've got dogs going nuts over here. It seems like every time I hit record, I have my dogs go nuts. But so 1960, or 58. We'll start at 58. Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut my door here. I'm wearing my Jackie Robinson shirt today, by the way. So 1958, you've got the star background. You've got the red background for the American League players, the blue background, there you go, for the National League players. To me, it's like, who was this? A sport magazine, I think, was kind of the sponsor of the All-Stars or whatever.
Yeah, it was the sport magazine.
Yeah.
And then on it was the Sporting News, but now it was a sport magazine. And, it was nice because all the regular cards from that year are just a solid.
Right.
Just solid color. And then they put the stars, just like, the All-Stars.
Yeah.
So I really like that design, and with the sport magazine on top there, and it says, All-Star. So they did a great job. The first year they came out, and these are all higher numbers. These start up around the, let's see, the Banks is number 482. So they're a little bit tougher to find.
Yeah.
But they're a lot cheaper than the regular Ernie Banks card you would get from that year.
Well, you've got 11 Hall of Famers in 1958. Just in the All-Stars, you got 11 Hall of Famers, wow. Including guys like Casey Stengel has an All-Star card in 58 and 59. Then you've got Stan Musial's first Topps card is his All-Star card from 58, which I love. Great card. Ted Williams has an All-Star card in 58. His last appearance on a Topps card is his 58 Topps All-Star, because his 58 Topps is an earlier series, right? Then he has that All-Star card with the bent cap, the brim of his cap's all crooked. It's kind of funny. Mantle, Aaron Mays, we're going to say those names a lot because they were
every year
All-Stars pretty much every year. So you had some really great cards in 58. I think Topps really kicked off that idea with a bang. It's a beautiful subset. And we'll get to favorite designs. Like maybe you and I can talk later about what our favorites are. Let's go to 1959. We had another 11 Hall of Famers in the 59 All-Star set. Do you have examples of those?
Yeah, I have a few of those too. I have a bunch of those. So here's the Aaron.
Yeah, beautiful Aaron. And that was also blue and red as well, right?
Yeah, here's the Spawn.
Red for the National League, blue for the
Here's the blue. There's the K-line in the blue.
Yeah, those are absolutely gorgeous.
They're just beautiful, and they're different because the blue has like the eagle there.
Right.
So look at how the the outline of the picture is different versus
like a shield.
Yeah, versus these, which is like a base.
Yeah, and you have the eagle behind
You still have the eagle, but it's
Yeah.
just a different. It's not designed for the American and the National League,
It's
which is
weird
kind of
how,
cool, you know.
yeah, they're awesome. They're patriotic, you
Yeah,
know. It's
yeah,
like you look at the card and you're like, I feel good to be a baseball fan, you know.
yeah.
It's just those 2
And
years are so great.
when you look at them all together,
Right.
it looks so cool. The different colors,
Yeah.
and you know, it's just they're really really nice looking cards, and some of them have you know the actual body, and the other ones have portraits.
Yeah.
It's they're and like I said, these now for the 59, they start in here's number 571 is the Warren Spawn. So you know, I think what Topps did back then was, remember in 57 they had 407 cards, and then in 58 they jacked it way up to, you know, I think it was 500 cards, almost 500, because this was 400 something. I don't remember the exact number. So they made a lot of subsets where they made dual players, and they started doing the all-star cards and all that stuff. And again in 59 they created a big set, you know.
Yeah.
So they went on with that, and then in the 60s the same thing. They were already creating 600 card sets, so they had to add a lot of subsets, and the all-star cards, which were awesome.
Yeah, which is great for us because that's just more cards that we get to collect. Speaking of 1960, there were 10 Hall of Famers in the 1960 All-Star subset. I got one here, probably my favorite. Well, this is one of my favorite year designs, the 60 McCovey, because that's also a rookie year card, right? It's funny how in modern cards, any card put out by that player is called their rookie card, right? A rookie card of that player. Yeah. Nobody calls this McCovey's rookie card.
Even though it's the same year, you're right.
Right.
It should be. Well, it's the same thing in basketball. You have the Wilt Chamberlain rookie card, and then you have Wilt Chamberlain in action. That in action card, even though it's the same year in the same set, it's not considered a rookie. So
it's interesting. Crazy. Why we should just consider the Topps base the rookie card, even now, just like we did or we do for vintage. It's the same, should be the same concept, but nobody asked me, so I don't know. But I love this I have the McCovey. I have all of them actually. I have every card of a Hall of Famer for an All-Star card in the vintage era, except for the 61 Whitey Ford. That's the only one I'm missing. But speaking of 61.
Yeah, and what I like about also the 60s, the 60 is the horizontal. It's the first time they did the horizontal versus the vertical.
Sure. 61 Sporting News All-Stars. You've got the classic, you know, paper being, you know, smashed through, and you know the headshot in the middle of it, kind of like that knot hole idea, but through a newspaper, the Sporting News. And I mean, these are just great. These are high numbers. The 61s are hard. They're expensive, I should say, because they're high number cards. But I just love the design of these as well. You've got in 61, you've got Aaron, Mays, Mantle, Banks, you know, just the same guys, perennial all-star kind of guys. And so I like the 61s. What do you have for 62?
62. And, you know, going back to, we talked about the 58s, and you just mentioned Mantle. The 58 Mantle is a triple print. So if someone's looking for a cheap Mantle, that 58 is probably the best one.
Oh, we'll get to it. We're going to talk about that later. I got some pricing information to tell people and share with them.
Oh, great. I'm glad you're going to cover that. But 62s to me are one of the most beautiful. They're plain, you know, because of the borders, and it just has the name and the Sporting News across the top and stuff. So they're pretty plain. But what I like about a lot of these is that if you look at the regular card, they usually put here, see, he's a portrait here, but then in the other one, he's more of a batting pose.
Right.
And it happens in a lot of cases. If you look at this one, look at the Robinson. The regular card is a batting pose, and the All-Star is a portrait. So you get two kind of different views of the players. And that's something that I don't know. I just think that's kind of cool, because it's not the same portrait, the same picture. They use different pictures every time.
I like on the
Mays.
62s. The 62s, they have the bubble for the name, and
Right.
it's colored, and it makes it really pop.
And they have, again, the different. So they have the National League here, and then the American League are red.
Right. National League is blue.
The
American
red bubble.
League red. Yeah. At least they were consistent.
Yeah.
Over the years with that.
Yeah, and so that's kind of nice to tell them both apart real quick, and they're actually that way on the checklist too. American League, and then and again, these are also high number cards.
Yeah.
So here's a few more of the American League.
Whitey Ford.
With the Whitey Ford and
Luis.
Aparicio, and here's the Brooks Robinson.
Yeah. It's funny, my dad, when I was a kid, he took cards to the ball game to get players to sign them. And I have a 59 Al Kaline signed, and I have a 62 Brooks Robinson signed. And I think my dad got those cards because they were so, like, when he went to the card shop, hey, I need a card of this player. I'm seeing him tonight at the ballpark. The shop owner sold him, hey, you can buy a regular card for this or an all-star card for much less. And he bought the all-star cards and got them signed. And I'm thrilled that he did. I love them.
Yeah.
It's great.
You could still buy those all-star cards, even some of the better players, raw for about $20.
Yeah.
In many cases.
So then we go into the dark ages of the 60s with no all-star cards from 63 to 67. Any speculation of why Topps didn't do all-star cards in those years?
It doesn't make any sense because they continue to expand the size of the sets, and they created a lot of other types of things during those years, other subsets. But for some reason, they decided to eliminate the All-Star, and it's kind of weird. And I know, for example, in the 72s, they went. I'm moving ahead a little bit, but we'll come back to it. 72s, they went instead from the regular. They did the regular card, and then they did an inaction card.
Right.
But they still didn't have all-star cards.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't figure that out.
Is it possible that Sporting News dropped their agreement with them or some, because these aren't really, they would be the all-stars from the previous year. But if they didn't have a quote unquote sponsor, that they didn't do it. That's my only guess. Otherwise it feels silly for them not to have included all-star cards during those years, but
yeah,
who knows? We need to go ask Cyberger.
Yeah, exactly. He's the only one that would know, and
he's not around, so we can't go ask.
We'll have to research that. I'll look into a little bit more of that and see.
I'm just curious. It's more of a, when I was doing research for this, I was thinking through all the years, and I'm like, wow, there's some gaps there that is just interesting. But then we get to 68, the beautiful 68 set. I've got the Yaz here. You've got Frank Robinson.
Robinson there, yeah.
So
again, back to the horizontal. Those are beautiful. That's one of my favorites.
I actually like that, and like I love. Look at this. So you got Yaz All Star, and the back is the Yaz. It was a puzzle, right? You could take all the cards, turn them around, and there was Yaz and somebody else for the National League. Who was it for the National League? Cepeda, maybe.
I'm not sure in 68. I know that they used Bobby Bonds the year in 19. I've got it here somewhere. One of the years they used Bobby Bonds on the back.
I just love that it's Yaz on the front and his face on the back. Like you've got this. It's the perfect. However, if Topps did that on purpose, it was genius. Yeah. I think you still have the red and the blue going on here. You've got in the Sporting News part of the. Because back now, Sporting News is back sponsoring in 68 or whatever they're doing, their agreement with Topps or whatever, but it's red, and then it's blue on the National League guys. So 68 actually has the most Hall of Famers of any All-Star subset. It has 13 Hall of Famers. Aaron Robinson, you've got Clemente's only All-Star card is in 68. That's the only one Clemente had. And then you have in 69, you got the Sporting News again participating in helping Topps, either pick and or select their all-stars. This is the Johnny Bench, which is a second year bench.
Right.
Again,
Right.
they're doing the puzzle thing on the back.
Yeah.
I want to say Pete Rose is one of them, I think, if I remember right.
I think so. I think you're right on that. And I like that because it just doesn't have their face. It has a background also.
Right. On the 69s. Yeah.
Right, on 69s.
And you get back to that kind of, patriotic motif. You've got the stars.
Right.
The colors are, the green is kind of weird, but it kind of works. I kind of dig it. So, and then 1970.
Yeah, I got the 70s here. And the 70s, again, that's the regular card.
Juan Marichal.
That's the
all-star card. Yeah.
The all-star cards. And these are really nice, but the problem with these is, and I'll tell you, because I pulled all of these from packs and I sent some to grade, and they're all off-centered.
Yeah.
They are the toughest cards that I've seen as far as the all-star cards. These are the toughest ones to get centered. It's either way off-center, top to bottom, however you got them. And these, look at this one, way off-center, top to bottom. So if you ever see these centered, get them. But again, they're nice portrait pictures. So it's you get a nice stuff, and in the back it tells you a little story.
Yeah, I love the little cartoons.
I love the cartoons. That's, to me, those are the cool things. I remember when I was a kid, the Johnny Bench is like laying down there catching the ball. I used to love those. Those are just great.
It's fantastic.
But and then they stopped making them again in 71 and in 72. And you would expect 72, since it was the largest set they've ever made, almost 800 cards, you would think that they would add that into that, say, let's do it, but they didn't. Instead, they just did the inaction cards.
Which there are tons of those in the 72 set.
And they're not all all-stars.
Right. It's dang near, I bet 1 out of 3 players has an inaction card in 72. It's probably not that bad, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty bad.
But in 70, you have Aaron's last all-star card. You have a bench. You have a great Reggie Jackson in 1970. But there's only 9 Hall of Famers in 1970, only 9 Hall of Famers in 1969 as well. There's the Reggie. Yeah.
This is the cheapest second-year Reggie you're ever going to find. I mean, second-year Reggie. And it's extremely, we'll talk about the pricing.
Yeah. So 71, 72, 73, 74. 74, they had the all-star cards, but they were sideways and they were dual player. Yeah. You had
what they did 74 is they did dual player.
Yeah.
So they had the every position, first baseman, second baseman, they had the National League and the American League.
Yeah.
And in the back, they had the puzzle. And this puzzle was
Bobby Bonds.
Puzzle was Bobby Bonds.
Okay.
Here it is. See, here's the back.
Yeah.
The top of it.
Yeah, so 74, you kind of have all-star cards again in a little bit different format. Then you get 75 and going forward through 1980, the designation on the card. Let's talk about those first. I absolutely love them. I love getting those cards. Like it made a difference to me when I was pulling a 79, with the flags or the little all-star designation. The 78s might be the best because they have that shield, that red, white, and blue shield, I absolutely love those.
Yeah.
77s are just a banner along the bottom. And
these also are the
color
red
coded.
And red and blue.
Yeah.
National League, American League.
But 76 is I think of a 76 all-star, what it looks, there you go. Yeah, it's the star again. Yep.
Yeah.
Reggie. Thurman.
It's a star.
Is it still red and blue?
Let me see.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
No.
Okay.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah, it's still red and blue. Still the same here.
There you go.
Still red and blue. American League and National League. And in that year, they actually added, one of the first times they added all-time All-Stars.
Right.
Where they had Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Ty Cobb, and all those other all-time All-Stars here.
And it's by the Sporting News.
By the Sporting News. But they eliminated it from instead of having 2 cards for each player,
right?
They only put the little star, which that kind of sucks though.
I
would like to see 2 different cards of each player.
You're so greedy. You're such a greedy collector.
Of course. Aren't we all? We all would like to see more Hank Aaron's and more Pete Roses and more of those guys.
I do love the 80s. You know, they have that, the banner under the banner in black. Or there's other colors, though, besides black, I think. But
yeah. And then you have this where they actually put the...
the shield is my favorite.
The shield, that's your favorite, yeah.
Is the 78s. I just think they look so good. I wonder if they did that. I think I have a whole stack of 78 O-Pee-Chees. Yeah. Even on the O-Pee-Chee cards, there's a shield.
Oh, yeah.
That's a beautiful Joe Morgan.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this card I just pulled. I was going through these O-Pee-Chees. This is a total sidebar. But I found a Eddie Murray O-Pee-Chee that is as gorgeous. It's so crispy.
It's super well centered, especially that card is very tough to get centered.
I mean, and this is an O-Pee-Chee.
Oh, and I love that back. Yeah.
It's like gorgeous. And I'm
you got to send that in for sure. Yeah.
A PSA 10 of this card is about $14,000. And this could gem.
But a 9, even a 9 is worth a lot of money.
A 9's $1,400. So still pretty. There's only 5 10s out of 900, almost 1,000 that have been graded of Eddie Murray. 5 or 10s. That's it. That's why it's so expensive. And there's only 50 something 9s, but this is at least a 9.
It's at least a 9. Yeah, it should be.
I'm so excited.
That's similar to the Ricky Henderson rookie. That so few get 10s.
Yeah, I literally just found this in a stack from the basement collection that I'm going through, and I'm like, wow. So anyway, sorry about that aside. So let's talk pre-63 first. What's your favorite design if you had to pick one out of those years?
I think the 62. It's a simple design. I'm just a fan of the wood borders.
Okay. I would have to go 58 if I had to pick my favorite.
The stars,
would love to hear you guys. And that's a hard choice, by the way, because I love the 15. I love all of them, so that's a hard one. But 58, if I had to choose one, would love to hear y'all's comments down below if you're watching on YouTube. Would love to hear what your favorite All-Star set is from that super vintage era back in the 50s, early 60s. Okay, so then if we go to that next segment, 68, 69, 70, what's your favorite of those 3?
I think the 69.
Okay. I would also pick the 69 as my favorite because I think it's just more colorful. I do like the 70s, coming through the newspaper, but it's kind of like they already did that in 61. So it wasn't terribly creative.
And the 70s set is just so plain to begin with,
Right. And then of the 75 through 80, what's your favorite? Again, we could even say 74 through 80. What's your favorite of those All-Star designations?
I just like the 75. I like the 75 set overall. It's got a nice design, and I just like that.
Well, you heard mine's the 78, but there's not really a wrong choice here. I don't think, it's a bad thing to like any of them. So let's talk pricing a minute, because if you're a new collector trying to figure out how to enter the vintage world and prices just seem crazy to you, we get it. Orlando and I get it. We've been through all of it together. Well, not together, but we've been through all of it both as collectors
over the years.
So let me throw some numbers at you, Orlando, and see what you think about this. 1970 Hank Aaron, his last All-Star card. A PSA 7 of his All-Star card, or his base card, let's do the base first, is about $200, give or take, for a 7, which actually doesn't seem that bad, honestly. Now that
the 70s card's still cheap.
Yeah, $200 for a 7, which is a really good grade. The All-Star card's $100, so it's half as much. $100, and you get a PSA 7 of one of the all-time greats in a Topps card, right? That just seems like a good deal to me.
It seems like a great deal, and I looked this up before. I looked them both up in a 6, right?
Okay.
A Hank Aaron,
the 62s
was about $300.
Okay.
The All-Star was about $100.
Yep. So 3 to 1.
6.
Yep. In a nice collector grade.
3 to 1.
Yep. So let's go to 60, that McCovey that I had, which is, again, a rookie year card, right? I thought, well, surely it'll be a tighter, there won't be as much variance there. And the reality is the 60 McCovey in a 6, I just used a collector grade for that. $300 to $350 for a 6 in the base card. The All-Star card's $80. So it's, 4 times as cheap. It's 1/4 the price of his base card. And that's for, a rookie year card. Not
same year, same set.
Year. So to me, that feels like a great value. Then we go to the 58 Mantle, which you mentioned is a triple print. So I see him at every show, dang near every table has a 58 Topps All-Star Mickey Mantle. It seems like they're all over the place, which is good if you're a buyer because they're readily available and it helps pull the prices down. But the base Mantle 58, you want to guess in a 5? You want to guess a price?
It's got to be, I don't know, over $1,000.
$800 to $900, so close. And then in a PSA 5, the All-Star cards $200 to $300, so 1/3 of the price.
Wow.
And I think you'll find that ratio between the base card will be 3x to 4x the All-Star card. I think for every player as you look through them. And again, some of them can be had, like you said earlier, Orlando, really cheap, even graded.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful card. I mean, the 58 All-Star Mantle is just a beautiful card.
It is. That's one of those cards that I would own multiples of.
Yeah, and it's a tough card condition-wise also, because the 58 stock and the 58 cards are really tough.
Yeah, I love them. And that's the great thing about just collecting in general is, look, do you have to collect All-Star cards? No, you don't. We're trying to just maybe open you guys' eyes a little bit to what's out there. And everybody knows there's All-Star cards, but I think the modern collector dismisses them so much as just not being an important card for that player. They're just an afterthought. Versus in the vintage world, we think of them as just kind of side by. You got the base card and the All-Star card, and they kind of go together.
Yeah, anybody that asked me, there was one guy that subscribed to my channel, Will Voggs. He was asking because he wants to get into vintage, and I told him go for All-Star cards or even leader cards. Well, he ended up getting his first Mantle. He got a combo card, but still, it's a Mantle. So if you're really looking to get into vintage, one way to get, Aaron Mantle Maze is to look at these All-Star cards or other options other than just the standard base card.
Yeah, totally. And you're hearing Orlando and I preach the same thing. Again, we've both been doing this combined probably, I'm 40 whatever years, you're close to on 50 years collecting, right?
Yeah.
So we're dang near a century of experience in this. Just they're great. And I want people just to think not like modern collectors think, which is All-Star cards are worthless. They just come in the update set. Nobody cares about those.
I mean, look how nice these cards look,
Yeah.
And you try to get a Willie Mays in a 6 from 59, you know, you can pick this up for a couple $100, even less.
Yeah. And I actually like that card. It's a better looking card than his base card in 59.
Yeah, the 59 base cards are just very, they're nice. I love them, but it's just a circle and they're kind of blah. And these are just a lot nicer.
Yeah, they pop. They're just awesome.
So, I mean, I encourage anybody, get into vintage and just, it's up to your budget, whatever you can afford. But there's always affordable Hall of Famers, even from the 50s, that you can buy, for, the price of a hobby box.
I know a lot of guys that'll do the All-Star from those sets that have the separate All-Star set. They'll do that registry and just get all the All-Star cards. There's registries for that if you want to do that, PSA or SGC or whatever. Not SGC registries, but soon, hopefully, according to SGC, they'll have registries. Hopefully. But you can, and when you have all the All-Star cards together and you lay them out together, even if you have, Del Crandall, or I'm trying to think of kind of the weird guys that have All-Star cards, you're like, oh my gosh, he must have had a great year.
Billy Pierce.
There you go. 59.
But you got Casey Stengel.
Yeah. Look how young Stengel looks in that picture, by the way. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
In 58, they did the managers together. They did Stengel and whoever the Braves manager was. Ken Boyer there. Yeah.
But like you say, it's so cool to get them together because you have the reds and the blues, and it's great. And if you put them in a binder like Jake does, they look beautiful in the binder. You have the blues page and you have the red page and with the stars and all that. It's really, really nice.
Yeah, I'm, getting back into set collecting and using binders to do that. I'm space limited here in the card room, but so I'm being careful about how I'm not just going full bore because it would get out of hand really quick. Yeah. But I've noticed the same thing when you put all the All-Star cards in the binder, they just look so cool together and laying them out. So hopefully you've heard, I think we've beaten that dead horse about what a great entry point into vintage All-Star cards can be. I hope you've heard our enthusiasm and joy in collecting them, as Orlando and I have over the years. What else do you want to say to people before we get out of here?
Not much. Just keep collecting what you like. It's fun. It's great. And anyone who has a good collection or any collection at all, put it on video, guys. You'll love it. And the community is the best. And Mike, he's the ambassador. He's the guy that helps everyone. He gets everyone on these videos and live streams, and just start it. Look at somebody like me. Hey, I'm just a little bit better at technology than Chris from Missouri. Tiny bit.
That's a compliment. That's actually a lot better than Chris from Missouri.
And I was able to do this stuff. So guys, just go ahead and do it. There's a lot of guys out there, Mike, that have commented and subscribed to my channel that have told me, oh, wow, I want to do it, but I'm scared. And these guys have incredible collections. I'm talking awesome collections. They've sent me pictures and stuff. One guy sent me a picture today of my Team Dihigo rookie card that he just got slabbed. And I'm like, you got to put that on video. And that's just my message to everybody. Is just, guys, get with this community. It's an awesome community. And, we'll all help each other.
We always try to. I certainly do. I know you do, Orlando. You're great. I see you in everybody's videos making comments and showing up on live streams. I'm like, do you do anything else but watch YouTube? I don't know, but I certainly appreciate.
I have an advantage because I'm retired, so that helps.
I definitely appreciate your friendship. I enjoyed getting to hang out with you a little bit. We stole a little bit of time together, just you and me at the National, but it wasn't nearly enough. No. And you're welcome to come to Dallas. If you come to the Dallas show with me and James, we will show you a good time, and you're retired. You might as well. It's a couple $100.
I need to go
out here. Just come, and you got to come see the beast. You'll just love it. So
I'm definitely going to make it. I'll definitely get there one day for sure.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much this week for watching, listening out there. Again, comment below. We'd love to hear what you think about All-Star cards. Are we crazy? We might be, but that's all right. We'll take that. So thanks again, Orlando. Everybody out there, have a great week and keep collecting.